Hello, everyone. I'm Kay. I'm so happy to be giving this talk. So, today we're going to dive into a strategy called modular content. This is a great way for you to create and manage content super quick and efficiently. And best of all, it's a system that'll make it really easy to test and optimize all of your copy. That's everything like blogs, ads, email copy, social media, and even things like talks and podcasts. This is a really easy way to make all of your copy resonate with your audience, regardless of platform, all the while keeping your brand voice consistent across multiple channels and platforms. And the system can also help you test different combinations so you can optimize for more conversions. And as a CRO pro, you know that it's all about continually testing and optimizing. And this is where a modular content system really shines. With modular content, you have the flexibility to quickly adapt and improve your strategies without having to start from scratch over and over. So, a bit about me. I'm the founder and lead strategist at Love Letter Emails. A big part of what I do is testing and optimizing to make sure that the words we choose don't just sound good, but that they actually work to build connections and drive revenue. Our talk today will cover three things. First, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of modular content. I'm also going to show you how to apply this to copying content across different platforms. And then I'm going to show you how to implement it into your own workflow with just a Google Sheet. And I've made it super easy for you to start. You'll find the link below to the Google Sheet, and all you have to do is make a copy and start filling it in with your own data. And don't worry, I'm going to show you how to use it in just a bit. So whether you're new to the concept or looking to refine your current content strategy, my goal for you today is that you'll walk away with a tool you can start using immediately. All right, let's get started. Part 1. Intro to Modular Content. To begin, let's define what modular content is. At its core, modular content is a system to track and organize small, reusable blocks of content that can be mixed and matched to create various outputs. Imagine it like a set of Lego bricks that can be rearranged to build anything from a simple house to a complex skyscraper. This system is a huge time saver for anyone writing or responsible for content and copy. That means not only copywriters and marketers, but also product managers, content strategists, and UX designers. That's anyone involved in creating and maintaining consistent, scalable content across various platforms. Organizing your content into blocks gives you more flexibility in how you create and manage your content, making the entire process more efficient. It also simplifies testing and optimization, which means you can quickly experiment with different variations of copy and find out what drives the best results and launch winners faster. So let's just back up a bit and talk about what life is like if you don't use a system like modular content. In short, it's time-consuming, inefficient, and hard to scale. The old way of creating content is where you start from scratch for every platform, whether it's your website, email campaigns, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. The old way is a real drain on time and resources. It's challenging to scale, especially as you personalize more and more content across all of these channels. In contrast, modular content offers a more efficient way to create content. A modular content system helps you stay consistent while tailoring messages to different audiences across different platforms without having to rewrite and reformat everything from scratch. And when you keep your brand consistent across all platforms, your brand is more recognizable, you build stronger trust with your audience, and you and your team can easily adapt and scale your content quickly.
Hi, This is Romo Santiago, founder of Experiment Nation. To celebrate our 5th anniversary, we are holding weekly giveaways until November 29th. Prizes include books, free consultation services, and even a t-shirt. To enter, simply join Experiment Nation Slack and fill out the entry form that can be found in the description or through the QR code on the screen. Now back to the session.
Part 2. Modular content in action. Now that I've introduced the concept of modular content, let's explore how we can use it effectively. In this section, I'll show you how modular content functions in practice and how it can supercharge your marketing efforts. I'm going to show you how you can break down content and repurpose content across different platforms, making each piece work harder for you and get the lift in conversions you're looking for. Imagine you've written a comprehensive blog post on project management strategies, promoting your project management solution. The post covers key strategies like task prioritization, team collaboration, and progress tracking, and concludes with a call to action encouraging readers to try out your solution. Now, with modular content, this blog becomes more than just a single post. It becomes a source of multiple content blocks that can be used across different assets, saving you time and effort while keeping your message consistent. So how do we break this blog down into modular content? Well, let's take the introduction. We know the killer hook you wrote is working because visitors are staying on the page. Next, we'll take the core strategies covered, like task prioritization, team collaboration, and progress tracking. Each of these strategies is supported by statistics and testimonials, and you want to keep track of these so you can use them in other places and test what's working and what's not working. And finally, we've got the call to action, encouraging your readers to sign up or demo your project management software. In this example, you found that the CTA is definitely a winner because readers are clicking through. Each of these becomes a modular block of content that can be reused across platforms, helping you get the most out of your original content. Okay, say you have to post on LinkedIn. You can go ahead and take the introduction from your blog post with the killer hook that's proven to draw readers down the page and use that to do the same on your new LinkedIn post. On Facebook, you could pull out the section on team collaboration, stats and all, and pair this with a relevant image or video. If you have to post on Instagram, you could take the same content but turn it into short snippets or visual infographics. You can do the same for ads and use your high-performing CTA for more click-throughs. And of course, you can use your blocks in email marketing. Let's say you're sending a newsletter about best practices in project management. You can reuse the key points from your blog, but condense them into shorter content suited for email. And even better, you could create a series of emails, each one focusing on one specific modular content block, and take your readers deeper into the topic with every email. Each of these assets uses the same blog post content, but they're tailored to their platforms using the building blocks you've created. And then you and everyone else on your team who's responsible for content and copy can then track the performance of each block. And remember, the system keeps everything organized for easy retrieval. And the beauty of modular content is that it's not static. As you track the performance of each of these blocks, you can continuously optimize. For example, if you notice that the topic of team collaboration consistently drives engagement, you can create more content around that topic. Or if a CTA stops performing well, you know it's time to try out another one in your next ad or email. Modular content isn't just about saving time. It's also about getting the highest return out of every piece of content you create. Part 3. Implement the modular content system today. The system I use is made up of 3 block types: core blocks, variable blocks, and metadata blocks. Let's break that down real quick. Core blocks are the main messages or themes. These are the big ideas, the core content that you want to reuse across different platforms. Variable blocks are the specific details, things like examples, statistics, quotes, or calls to action. These are the flexible pieces that can change depending on where you use them. And metadata blocks help categorize everything. Think of them like tags that help organize your content so you could quickly find what you need. Now, my modular content system I'm showing you here is pretty bare bones. I just use a Google Sheet. And I want to show it to you because it's a simple, practical starting point that lets you get the system up and running without committing to an expensive tool or learning something complicated. You and your team can get started right away with a Google Sheet. And one of the best things about using Google Sheets is that it's already packed with features that make collaborating easy. It automatically tracks changes so you can see who's made updates. You can control who has access, and there's no cost to add more users. It's all built in. And as you get more comfortable with the system, you can start adding more detail to track specific metrics. You can easily add new columns for more granular data, like tracking how each content block performs over time or across different platforms. For example, if you wanted to track click-through rates or conversion rates for each block, you could just add a column and pull in the data. What I also love about using Google Sheets is that you can easily turn everything into graphs or charts in just a few clicks. The functionality is already built in. It's easy to track performance and spot trends without needing any fancy software. And if you want to take it a step further down the road, you can add more functionality with things like formulas and scripts. Google Sheets is flexible enough to handle all of that. So the setup gets you started fast without the overhead of a complex system, but it's flexible and can grow with your needs. It's a no-frills tool that lets you focus on results, and you can scale it as your team and business grows. Google Sheet Overview. Okay, now I'm going to go through the Google Sheet that you can use to organize your modular content system. The Google Sheet is made up of 3 sheets. The first one is your core content blocks. The second one is your variable content blocks. And the third one is your drop-down menu list. You use this sheet to feed information, your drop-down menus. Okay, starting with your core content blocks sheet, you have several columns here to help you organize each block of content. Each block of content is a row on the sheet. So your first column is your block ID. This is where you can enter a unique identifier for that block so that you can just have a way to keep it organized in your notes and look up stuff faster and refer to between you and your team. This is the naming convention that I created, but of course you could change it to anything you want. The next column is your core theme for your content. There's a drop-down menu here as well. The next column is space where you can add a description of your content block. And then in the goal column, you can choose the goal you're trying to achieve with that content block. And then the next column is your related topics so that you could search by topics that you want to use your content block in. Campaign promotion column is where you can choose the campaigns or the promotions that you use this content block in. The next column is your testing results column where you can note if the content block won or lost in a test or if it was neutral. The next column is replaced by, and I added this so that I could have a way of keeping track of content blocks that were replaced by another content block. And then you could fill that in here manually with the content block that was the winner. And then in the next column, testing notes is space for you to enter any insights or notes that you want to keep about the test. And then this last column is the URL column. And this is where you can drop a link to the asset that you use the content block in. That could be a blog post or an ad. You could also use this space to put in links to things like images or GIFs or any other multimedia that you want to keep track of. You could also add that here. Okay, the next sheet is your variable content block sheet. Just like in the core content blocks sheet, you have your block ID so that you can add a unique identifier to each content block. The next column is your variable element column, and this is where you can keep track of whether this particular content block was a stat or a quote, product feature, testimonial. And of course, you can change this all in your drop-down menu list, and that's for the variable element it's in this column, column D. And another thing that I added to this sheet was just a way to keep you organized. If you'll take a look at the tabs at the bottom, core content blocks I made purple, variable content blocks I made green, and then when you look at the drop down menu list, these two columns that are purple feed into the core content blocks sheet, and then the columns that are in green feed into the variable content block sheet. And then the ones that are gray are used for both the core content blocks and the variable content block sheets. Okay, going back to the variable content block sheet, the next column you have is content detail. This is where you can add your own description about this particular block of content. Next column is the goal you're trying to achieve with this content block. Next column is usage context. This is where you can add notes, or you can choose where you used this particular content block. And the next column is your tags column. You don't have to use this, but if you wanted to add more metadata to your content blocks, this you might find this useful. And again, it's populated from the drop-down menu list. The next column is campaign or promotion column, and this is where you can note where this content block was used or how you used it. And then you have the testing column where you can make note of whether it won in a test or lost in a test. And then in the next column, we have the replace by column where you can make note of the content block that replaced the content block that lost. The next column is some space for you to make any notes that you have about the test that you ran. And then in the next column, you have space to drop any links to the assets where you use this content block, as well as any other links you want to keep track of, such as like multimedia or GIFs or images. And as I said earlier, the drop-down menu list sheet is what you'll use to populate the drop-down menus found on both your core content blocks sheet and your variable content blocks sheet. Now, if you want to look for a particular piece of content based on like goal or testing result or tag or any variable within these columns, you can easily do that by just clicking at the top of the column on the icon, and then you can create a filter, or you can sort alphabetically, ascending or descending. And then another thing I want to show you real quick is you could easily sort and filter in each of these sheets by just going up to the top of any column that you want to sort by or filter by, and click on the icon here on the right side, and then you can choose to create a filter, which will bring this filter icon, and then you can choose to filter by any of the variables. You can also sort by ascending or descending order. All right, as we come to the end of this session, let's quickly recap what we covered today. We walked through the basics of modular content. We saw how breaking down larger pieces of content into reusable blocks can save you time, effort, and drive more consistent results. I also shared with you the tool I use in my own workflow. The Google Sheet I shared with you is a simple way to get started with managing your content. It's a great starting point because it can grow as your content strategy evolves. Just make sure to regularly update your testing results so you know what's working and what isn't. Keeping the system updated allows you to quickly identify patterns and trends, which can help you double down on what's driving conversions and optimize underperforming content. And what's great about this system is that it can adapt to your needs. And the main thing is just to start. Start simple. Get your modular content system up and running with the Google Sheet. And as your needs grow, so will the system. Thanks so much for your time and attention. I hope that you found this useful, and if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out anytime. You can email me at k@loveletteremails.com. I look forward to hearing how you do with this. Thanks, and bye for now.
Hi, This is Romo Santiago, founder of Experiment Nation. To celebrate our 5th anniversary, we are holding weekly giveaways until November 29th. Prizes include books, free consultation services, and even a t-shirt. To enter, simply join Experiment Nation Slack and fill out the entry form that can be found in the description or through the QR code on the screen.